Sir, you can start.
Hello, good afternoon everybody. Thanks for coming to listen my webinar on problem solving through 7QC tools from the quality management. I am Nilakanteshwar Swami Bhavikati. I am assistant professor in Rama Institute of Management, Bangalore, and I want to take you through how we can take forward any problems, because as we see in our day-to-day life, the problems are going to be there in industry as well as in our day-to-day life around us. So basically we need to identify what is that problem and try to give solutions, try to find solutions, and if it is systematically found, we can be able to deliver the results which is as per the requirements or as per our own satisfaction, or if it is for the customers, as per the customer's satisfaction. Okay, let us see why problem solving is going to be a key. Because when we have a problem is the one which can be solved, which is having a solution, and if it is allowed to grow, it will lead into a crisis. Okay, so we have a set of problems and we are trying to find solutions. Okay, there's a methodology to work on these problems. Okay, so let us first define what is the problem. Then let us understand what are the causes for these problems. When you find the root causes, try to find out what are the main causes which are causing the most impact. Once we know the root causes, try to find out the possible solutions. Let us generate possible solutions. So once we know the possible best solution out of solutions, and try to put them into implementation. Because key is implementation part. It is not just the planning or defining of the problem. Once you know the causes also, reason also, you need to implement them systematically so that you are going to get the result what you wanted. So in the end, we are going to verify whether whatever solutions we are implementing, that is giving the result as per our need or not. So we can measure them in the end so that we can able to find out the effectiveness of our implementation. Okay, so let us take one example of a retail company. It is like online retail company. It has a revenues of around $100 million in 2007. It has come down to $80 million after 2 years. That is in 2019. There is a dip of 20%. That's the first statement what we are getting as a problem. Okay, for a company, there is a dip of 20% in the revenue. Second point, the net promoter score has come down by almost 30%. Okay, that is a second point. We are defining the second statement. And third point is, there is a revenue target. As per the strategy of the management has decided to go for a target revenue of achieving around 120 million US dollars by 2021. How that is going to happen? Okay, we have seen for the last 2 years, there was a dip of almost 20%, and we have to work on the problems that are there with us and improving to deliver what we want at the end of 2021, so that all our stakeholders are going to be benefited. Moving. Okay, let us start giving the solution to the problem. We have identified the problem. We have systematically put it across on the wall so that we know and everybody know, all the stakeholders know, these are the problems, how we are taking forward these problems. Okay, so we'll start with customer survey. We have customers from a population of very large population. Let us identify 1,000 customers and get a survey done. Through statistical sampling method, we take up the survey and try to measure all those different categories and understand the pulse of the customers. Okay, so customers responded to the questionnaire, and it can be online or through offline. And as it is an online portal, sales of retail products, so it is better to get to reach maximum outreach of 1,000 customers, and we got the questionnaires answered in the segments of extremely satisfied, satisfied, cannot say, or like neither satisfied or dissatisfied, again extremely dissatisfied. Thereby we are segregating them into what is their satisfaction level. Okay, we got the customer satisfaction. Okay, it is running into 1,000 lines. Each customer has a rating of satisfied, dissatisfied, extremely dissatisfied. Likewise, we have thousands of lines. So from these, by looking at these survey numbers of CSR, customer satisfaction rating, we'll not be able to know how many are actually dissatisfied, how many are satisfied. So from here, our quality tools are going to work. Okay, from the quality tool number 1, okay, let us use check sheet. Check sheet is the one who can put these different categories of CSR into different status. That is extremely dissatisfied, dissatisfied, cannot say, satisfied, and extremely satisfied. As and when we keep on getting the respective satisfaction levels of choices from the customer, we keep putting them as a checks on individual segments. So we are going to get the total counts against each CSR rating. So thereby we are going to have a total count seen or captured, and it is tabulated. It is a structured form of preparing a tabulation sheet or check sheet, or it is also called tally sheet. This will make us to collect the data systematically, put them across, and visually we can see how best we can analyze this data in the future. Okay, so after this, we can always go for further using of a second tool, that is histogram. Histogram looks like a bar chart, and we are going to have each bar, which is visually, it's a beautiful picture, and we can see visually depicted each segment with the respective frequency or the quantity. That is extremely dissatisfied 400, dissatisfied 300, cannot say 100, satisfied 150, extremely satisfied 50. So we have plotted the histogram. The reason for putting across the histogram is to know how the frequency or the quantity is moving or how it is placed in the sample survey of 1,000 people. This is clearly saying, yes, we have around 700 people who are dissatisfied with our products or our services. Okay, now customers have given their choices and their reasons, and now management is worried. Oh, 70% of our people, our customers, stakeholders, they are not happy with our service, our products. What to do? How to go about it? So from the survey, we also found out what are the reasons why customers are unhappy. We have put it down in different categories. Okay, category 1, product on-time delivery was main concern. The actual delivery time was different from what is told or what is expected due date. Bad user experience. Few of them had very bad experience about the product or the service. Insufficient product range when compared to the competitors. Yes, there are multiple competitors are there in the market. Compared to that, you have the product range, what you have put in the segment, very less, very minimal. Higher pricing compared to competitor. Okay, some of the bad quality products also delivered or shipped. In payments, there are issues. Okay, you are trying to do either payment through credit cards, debit cards, and you may be having a problem of getting, either it is hanging around or not able to pay, even though there is a payment is done, there is always again a response saying it has not been credited into the company account. So these different kind of issues with the payments. And ultimately, product manual, it is not giving the picture sufficient enough to give the right data at the right time. The sufficient data is not there, they are not able to pick up what they want, or immediately they may switch over to the competitor products because their presentation of the portal is good compared to our own portal. Okay, so now let us understand what are the different percentages contributing to each category of these different reasons. Okay, suppose if you take product on time delivery, it is giving 480 people, the quantity, bad user experience 320, insufficient product range 100, higher pricing 40, bad quality products 30, issue with the payment channels 20, and product manual 10 numbers. So these are the different frequencies or the quantities. When we are putting this on the Pareto chart, that means we are trying to put them as per the category and the frequency, and we can put the cumulative percentages on the right hand corner, right side. 480 plus 320, that has come to 80. Then 320, 80% plus 100, that is 100 by 1000, 90, another 10% is added. Then 40 by 1000, again 4% is added to 90, 94%. Thereby we have cumulative percentages also put in. We are going to use third quality control tool, that is Pareto chart here. And this is actually the famous person by name Wilfred Pareto. He is an Italian economist. He came out with this, and he has worked on uneven distribution of wealth. He came out with this Pareto, and the way to categorize the vital few from useful many. In any business scenario, this can be used. So it is giving pictorially what percentages are constituting major chunk of our issue, our reasons for not satisfaction of the customers. Okay, so here when you see, it is basically 80% of the people are having first 20% of the problem. Okay, that's why it is also called 80-20 rule. That means 80% of the total impact is happening from the 20% of the causes. So we will address this 80-20 rule. This is to work on those vital few like product on time delivery and bad user experience. And let us proceed with using tools so that that can be used as a benchmark or the references on which we control the product on time delivery as well as bad user experience in our future processes. Okay, so when we want to arrive at these solutions for the problems, now we know these two are vital issues. So management asked, okay, let us facilitate a workshop. Through workshop, we can do brainstorming, so that brainstorming can give different reasons or the causes for these two main vital issues that are to be addressed. Okay, for example, when we started having the workshop, few of the root causes identified. There are gaps in order fulfillment process. Second one, lack of quality processes. When you brainstorm, you keep getting different people giving ideas based on their experiences, based on their previous know-how. Thereby, we capture all these root causes and put them in a sequence of order. Okay. Then tool unavailability, lack of infrastructure, poor training, lack of motivation, frequent power outages, then late delivery from the vendors. These are the different root causes that we have identified for the main reason product on time delivery. Okay, let us address this through root causes. Okay, once we know the root causes, we can use the tool cause and effect diagram. We know the causes, we know it is giving result as on time delivery, which has to be on time. That means we need to address these causes and so that we can have a reduction in the on-time delivery. Within the time, we are able to satisfy the customer. Okay, this has been actually started by or originated from Ishikawa. Is Kouhiro Ishikawa, Japanese engineer, who came out with this cause and effect diagram. He worked relentlessly for the quality management, and it is named after him. It looks like actually fishbone skeleton. That's why it is also called fishbone diagram. And when you're doing the brainstorming session, you are asking many why to get different causes, a series of causes that you are noting down during this brainstorming. That's why it is also called as why diagram. Okay, now I'll put it on the cause and effect diagram. These are the different causes. Okay, gap in order fulfillment process, lack of quality processes. Okay, this is coming under head of methods. Okay, methods, machinery, manpower or people, and materials. They are different headings under which we are categorizing different causes, because when you are systematically putting them across segments, we can work out again on which category is causing this, and we can eliminate that from the system by occurring in the future. So occurrence of those particular causes can be minimized. Okay, so in the horizontal line we have put effect. Ultimately, for all these causes, we are going to have a effect that is unable to deliver the product on time. Okay, this is the result. This is the effect of all these characteristics, or what we call causes. Okay, let us see. When we have all these kind of a causes, we can put them as x1, x2, okay, x3, x4, and likewise we have put up to x8. And when you have a result coming, that is effect, that is unable to deliver the product on time, okay, that is a effect. We can call that y and try to find out this y, that is a result from all these x's. So it is a function of x, function of all these x's resulting into y, that is a result. Okay, this is a mathematical function where we know how it is depending on the independent variables. Okay, now let us use scatter diagram to find out how each variable or independent variable is acting on these dependent variable not on time delivery. That is a dependent variable on this order fulfillment time. How best the relationship is acting, or how strong the relationship is working. Okay, from these we can know the relationship. If it is across the line, this what we are seeing here is a positive relationship, and it can give a best relationship. And if it is skewed towards the right, it is called negative relationship. And the variables, the relationships can be known through this scatter diagram. By plotting the scatter diagram, we understood how best it is scattered. If it is closer to the line, it is very well closely packed points which are all appearing because of this independent variable, all the different variables of y that are appearing very closely. That means it is very, very positive in nature, and the relationship is very, very positive, and it has a more impact. Once we know this, let us understand from the perspective of how the fulfillment of this scatter diagram has impacted on the entire flow processes. We know not on-time delivery is happening, and we have to work on order fulfillment time. That is one of the variable on which the entire supply chain is working, so that we can able to deliver the product on time. So let us use the analysis method called SIPOC. SIPOC is basically supplier, inputs, process, outputs, and customer. Here, for each activity, like at the supplier end, we have requirements list given, so that all those requirements that are required as a inputs that can be processed in the organization so that it can be given to the customer as a output. Okay, the customer is again going to have a requirement is going to be given, again that is measured. At each point we are measuring, at each gate we are checking how beautifully the flow is happening in the entire process. So this is also called process mapping or flow mapping or flow charting. This is useful in improvement of the process, improvement angle as well, because process flow diagram or value stream mapping, it gives or add value to the streaming of a mapping. The entire supply chain is going to be benefited through addition of the value in the supply chain. We can identify non-value addition and eliminate that, as we have seen in the timing of a delivery. Okay, so we have these flow chart, and from the time we receive the order, preparing of a package, delivering of a package to the customer, after sales service, we have split all that into different transactions, and the entire supply of the flow processes that are occurring in a sequence of order fulfilling process, we have seen here through value stream mapping or flow chart mapping or mapping of an entire operation. So that our aim is how much time it is taking and how best we can add value in the entire segment of operations. So this CPOC is going to give us a better result when compared to all other things that are as a causes, and once we are into the process of CPOC, we are trying to deliver to the customer at the lowest possible time. Okay, when we have this seventh quality tool, that is control chart. What is control chart? We have a control, that means we have upper control limit and lower control limit. What are these? They are the specifications or the limits based on the process capability of each organization. Each organization will have process capability, how much they can deliver. So here we have taken lower control limit as 24 hours, upper control limit as 72 hours. Okay, and we can see two more lines in between these two lines. They are upper specification limit and lower specification limit. Who have given these limits? It is the stakeholder. The customers are saying we want to have the products given within this time. So when we want to have the products timing given these kind of time limits, they are put in as a specification limits that is coming from the customers or stakeholders. So always we have to see that the upper control limit and lower control limit are beyond the specification limit. That means specification limits are falling within the control limits. That's the first point. When we want to have our timeline, as and when we keep plotting the graph for each delivery, we can put the graph like 44 hours, 52 hours, 43 hours, 54 hours, likewise, continuously you can plot the graph for the each and every delivery. We will know all of them are falling within the USL and LSL. Here you can see 62 hours, that is beyond upper specification limit, but well within the upper control limit. That means still within the range of control limits that are process capability limits. Okay, 62 hours is one of concern, and again we have this 80 hours. Okay, it is gone beyond upper control limit. Okay, so we have to be careful with this number. It has gone beyond upper control limit. This is coming under outliers. That means from the mean time of 48 hours, it has gone beyond and crossed the limits of upper controls. That means it has gone beyond. So we have to be very careful about this special cause. Okay. How am I going to use that? Okay, once we have these control limits and start plotting the graph under control charts, we know the series of these points that are coming okay, continuously, and that is seen by the people who are working on it. So rule of 7, that is second point, which is saying there should not be consecutive points which should not be given as a, when they are coming on either top or bottom side of a central line, they are causing any time, or there is a possibility of any time they going out of the system, out of the control limits. That is why we have to be very careful with these 7 consecutive points coming on either side of the mean. So if such thing happens, that means the process is incapable of delivering the goods on time within the upper and lower control limits. Okay, those are the 3 things we need to know. USL, LSL should be within UCL and LSL, and the second rule says 7 consecutive points should not be on only on either side of the mean time or the mean, that is 48 hours, and the third one is outliers like these 80 hours, which is causing the special cause, which is making us to again deeply look into why this cause is happening, and we can identify it and work on reducing those causes. Okay, so we have seen all these different 7 QC tools which are there from the check sheets, histogram, Pareto analysis, fishbone diagram or cause and effect diagram, plotted scatter diagram, flow chart and process chart, and control charts. All these 7 QC tools, we could able to identify the root causes. Now next, what? We have found out the root causes. If we have root causes, somebody should be there to give the solutions. Who will do that? Let us see how best we can find out the solution. Again, through critical thinking on different root causes, let us find out from the root causes what are the different solutions. So solution 1, solution 2, solution 3. Likewise, we have possible solution generated based on the critical thinking of each and every expertise that is there in the organization, so that we can try to work on the root causes so that those solutions are going to give the required or expected results. Okay, we can put all these solutions into different matrix, that is control impact matrix. How these different matrix of heading high, medium, low impacts with the in control. That means one is not in control, second one is in control. In the first segment, what we are seeing here, in control with high, these are going to be the cost effective solution and which are going to have high impact on the results. So these solutions we can identify and put it across for our implementation process. Once we choose these best solutions, we can work on putting across them into practice, and while putting across the solutions, okay, item 1, solution 2, we can put them under different headings. Okay, there's a matrix called RACI matrix where we can put them in a matrix by which RACI means responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. People in the organization, if they are made accountable, just like what we have this responsibility, accountability, and authority, we have this RACI where the person who is responsible will be working on the action, that is solution number 1, solution number 2, people are responsible, action number 3, person is responsible. Same way, people are identified for accountable. They are asked the questions why something is not complete or not able to active and able to deliver the goods. So there are people who are put in the accountable area, then consulted, different consultants can be asked and their names also put there, and informed so that it is translated into action. They're all different responsible people These matrix is very important from the perspective of implementing these solutions, because when you say we have found the solution for causes, for reasons, if it is not implemented, if nobody is accountable, nobody is responsible, will not be having desired results coming at the end of due dates. That means at the end of the action dates, due dates, will not be able to achieve what we want. So we'll have all these people accountable and measuring of these as per the timelines done. And if there is a requirement, all those deadlines, timelines are put it again, measured, revised at various levels, week wise, 2 week, by week, and then monthly at various management levels, and see that the actions are taken and the results are coming week after week, so that we can able to deliver the desired results, or we can able to see at the end of 2021. That's what our third point of main problem statement says. So how at the end of all these implementation of actions, we are going to measure them continuously. Now we have these quarterly announcements, we have market measures, and these are measured for the results. When we see at the end of 2021, we can able to see how they have resulted, whether it's positive or negatively, or surveys conducted on the pulse of the customers through sales or through getting the customer surveys measured, and through all the stakeholders, how best they are satisfied, so that we can have pulse of customers, all the stakeholders measured, and able to see clearly how they are translated into results. The effectiveness can be measured at the end of the timeline, and they can be seen by the management. And if we have worked systematically to identify and putting them across systematically into the process by eliminating all non-value additions in the system, we should be able to deliver the goods. That means when we say we have a problem anytime in and around us, or in the industry, or for that matter in our own personal life, we can put them in order, so that we are clearly scientifically working through the problem statement, identifying the root causes, and identifying or generating possible solutions. Yes, we can, when we work out based on our past experience, we can able to give possible solutions, out of which the best solution can be put in practice or put into implementation, and religiously they are all monitored for the implementation results, how they are resulting into better outputs or best output for the company success. So thereby you can move towards successful implementation, and the effectiveness is one of the parameters or the key process indicators, KPIs what we say, to measure for its effectiveness. So this is how we wanted to convey during this webinar. I thought of taking this opportunity so that we can see how best we all, as a students, as a professionals, as a people in the industry, in the academics, how best we can systematically work on any possible problems, how best we can work towards systematically and get the results as desired by the by our own or our own organization, or the areas or the companies or countries, so that we can deliver or get results what we wanted. This is one things what I wanted to give you all. So these are the quality tools which were used. Apart from this, there may be many. There are many tools that can be used, but for the time being, we are working on these 7 quality tools, so that we can get the quality output and satisfy the customer and enhance their satisfaction. So thereby we can increase our process capability, we can increase our moving towards manufacturing excellence or service excellence, and achieve our customer goals or satisfying the customer needs. Okay, so ultimately we want to say customer is the king, the need of the hour. Okay, thank you. If you have any questions, let me know so that I can be able to give you the answer to the best of my knowledge. If you have any questions, you can ask me so that I can unmute you and
ಹೌದ್ರಿ ಸರ್. ಈಗ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ
hello. Anybody has questions? If you have any questions, you can ask me.
You can speak.
Hello, if you have any questions, you can ask me so that I can be able to answer you. I am not able to see who is asking. You are able to see anybody? If you raise your hand, we will be able to know to answer your. Yeah, Siddharth.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, Siddharth. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. It was a very informative session.
Good afternoon.
And my question is the very core of fishbone diagram, sir.
Yeah.
Don't you think is based more on judgment rather than verified facts? And as a result, this tool often selects the, cause on the basis of majority, and which might not be effective process. So, don't you think is there any way to overcome this problem?
Yeah, you are right. But the main idea is to generate all the possible root causes. Okay, when you say root causes, these are the different causes that are occurring the end effect. Okay, among them, if somebody is constituting or some cause is constituting majority, yes, we always go by the majority and try to address that issue so that the relationship, if you see that in the scatter diagram, it is more dense. That means that particular variable is acting and getting maximum result. Okay, that is the main aim. So, of course, our aim is to maximize the causes so that that is resulting in a best outcome.
And sir, can you sir briefly differentiate between quality assurance and quality control? Can you tell us a little about it?
Yeah, sure. See, quality assurance and quality control. There are two, or among the quality, we are going into quality inspection as well. That is one more you can see. Okay, quality inspection, quality control, and quality assurance. In quality control, what we are trying to achieve, we are controlling at each stage of the process. That means, as per the specification, you are checking, you are doing inspection, you are capturing the data and control as per the specifications. So quality control, basically the QC will work extensively on these aspects of the quality management. When you say quality assurance, you are assuring the quality. How? Because it is a guideline standard to be followed. Okay, ISO is one standard, quality system like QS is one more standard, OSD, world standards. There are bodies which are all regulated bodies which are put all these conditions, all these different areas of quality which are conditionally to be satisfied. That means these standards universally accepted so that they can be controlled, they can be monitored as an audit point of view on any organization, so that today any product which is manufactured or serviced can be measured with the same kind of objective as well as output, and can be universally accepted across the world. So this is one point. Quality assurance will always make sure we are working as per the norms or the guidelines which are set by the organizations. Control is the one, the people who work towards that set deadlines or specification for each and every transaction, or the each and every controls that are as a tabulation of at each and every procedures where they are all monitored for their effectiveness. So that you can see how they are resulted on a day-to-day basis. That is quality control. Is that sound good?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay. Anybody is there so that we can able to solve their problem? If you have any issue, you can always ask us. If you can raise your hand so that we can know. Yeah, Gurpreet.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah.
So your session was indeed a very interesting one, and I'm one of the Ramaya students, 2018 batch, 2018 to 20 batch.
Okay.
So I just passed recently. So, sir, since I've been the student of Ramaya itself, I was an operation student only. Sir, do you think, like, I want to ask a question that what is the cause of normal variance in the operation of processes?
I didn't get you. Can you repeat the question?
What, like you gave the 7 QC tools, what can be the, if we take the normal variance in the process of, in the operation of the processes, what can be the cause for that?
See, for each and every operation has its own variations. Okay, you need to know what are the variations that are causing in that particular operation. Okay, when you critically study the process, you'll be able to identify those process capabilities so that you can put them as a characteristic. You can measure it so that always try to have the process controlled within the range, so that variance is minimized if it is happening in a day-to-day life for each, probably in each day or each shift of a operation, you can able to measure it. How is the variation occurring? That variance is basically key process indicator which you need to measure for its effectiveness.
So one more question, that can SIG also be one of the QC tools to control the quality management?
Yeah.
And how effective it can be?
When you are talking about
Six Sigma.
Yeah, you are right. Six Sigma is one of the tools, main methodology we are adopting in manufacturing or service industry, so that we are systematically working towards identifying the process variation. It basically comes on process variation. The first question what you asked, that variation, the process variations are systematically, carried out in terms of DMAG, that is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. It's a methodology you are using in controlling the system, that is processes, so that you can able to achieve a target of 3.4 defects out of 1 million opportunities. That is falling within the range of expectation or the capability limits. So that is a very good method of reaching the objective. But the companies always work towards moving Six Sigma. Okay, many companies are in 3 Sigma, 4 Sigma, 5 Sigma levels. If we are working towards Six Sigma, that means our defects levels are going to be very, very minimal. That is to the tune of 3.4 defects per million opportunities. Suppose in the case of what we have seen here, if you are dispatching a goods 1 million times, if you are capturing that time It should not be going beyond that Six Sigma limits, 3 point or 4 point. Only. Level your system is going to be, put in place in such a way that you are going to achieve those Six Sigma levels. If you are committed as an organization, as a people, you can all work towards achieving those objectives. Yes, you are right. It is one of the tools efficiently used by various companies, and one of them pioneers is Motorola, and successfully able to deliver the goods within the range. Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
you're welcome, madam. Any other question?
So this is Siddharth for one more quick question.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Sir, do you think for a like a startup where they don't have enough money to train their employees, including these 7 quality control tools, is a good idea? Because without proper training, I don't think they'll be able to reach to a proper result. So
Yeah, it's one of the best. Yeah, it's a very good question to ask. Like, what about startups? Are they having enough money to put in so that they can get better results? Yeah, as I mentioned, you start with brainstorming. If you are alone as a startup person, what is your aim? Don't put anything in your mind only. Put it on the paper. All these things should be put it on the wall, put it on the paper. From there, the problem statement is clear. If it is identified, start working on brainstorming what are the reasons for a particular problem. Okay. Once it comes on the paper, you rearrange so that you are working towards those possible causes or reasons, how best effectively you can put them into, effectively work on the solution. It is the best way. Otherwise, it is like a mixie grinder where too much of thoughts are in the mind. You are not sure about the possible solution, and always you end up with the problem. You are not coming out with the solutions. When you don't have any action plan itself coming because of the reasons, you are not seeing the results coming because of not taking any action. So, for particularly for a startup, for a beginner, start with identifying systematic, jot down, quietly take those into action plans, work towards implementing them, try to see how they are result. If as a student, I see one of the reasons, like, it is like a challenge. It is a startup. You are going to take up the test, the exams every month, every quarter. Thereby, you are trying to see the result. Okay, you practice, put them into place. If it is systematically done, you know what you are going to get, what you are achieved in the quarter, what you are achieved in the next quarter. Thereby, you improve continuously. This continuous improvement is one thing which should not be stopped. Whether it is for a big organization or a startup, the continuous improvement are a must. Nobody can say we have reached the ultimate. So it's a very good question. As a startup, you should not buckle under the pressure. Always calmly put it across the problem, systematically work out the action plan, how to give action plan a thought process to get a better solution is a one best methodology. Okay? See in the research methodology, this is what we see. Okay, so that we can able to deliver the goods. Okay, any other questions? Anybody is there? If you raise your hand, we can be able to answer your query. Any questions? Any question? Yeah, what is the difference between Six Sigma and 7QC? Somebody has asked the question. It's a very good. As I was talking, you are starting with the 7QC tool as a basic understanding of the root causes against the problem statement, and you are trying to find out the solutions for those causes, the root causes that are there, so that action points are to be noted down and you are going to get the results. If you are going to work towards the levels of Six Sigma, that means your process capability is almost touching 3.4 defects or errors in a opportunities or activities or transactions of 1 million. Okay, so that is a level. If some organization is reaching, that is the level of quality they have in place. That means they can able to satisfy the customer, and they can always say we have reached the Six Sigma level. In the process capability, when you see the normal distribution, you can see between the ends, it is both sides we have this plus or minus 3 sigma, so that you are within the control limits, that is 6 sigma. Is that answer your question? Is it okay? Money Power, you are able to listen? Still anybody is having question? Yeah, Money Power. I answer the question. Anybody is there with any other question related with quality, Six Sigma, how best we can improve the processes? Even it can be implemented in any of the service industry or manufacturing industry. Tools are tools. Even in our day-to-day life, anybody can be using tools for improvement of our own results. Yeah, Bharat, can you able to hear me? Bharat, can you ask question? Bharat? Bharat, can you unmute yourself so that you can answer? You can ask question. Bharat Yan. Bharat, if you can send the message so that I can able to answer your query if something is there. Yeah, one of the questions that is coming is for a customer complaints, which is more effective tool, whether it is 5Y or Fishbone. See, I was talking about this Fishbone diagram. Fishbone is basically cause and effect diagram. And when you say 5Y, it is asking why many times and getting the possible causes. So both are same. When you say 5Y or Fishbone diagram or cause and effect diagram, you can use that particular tool so that you can solve the problem of customers and address it. It is an effective tool, definitely. It is the same tool. Both are same. YY or Fishbone diagram. Bharat, can you ask question? Mani Panwar?
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mani. Yeah, you can ask question.
Sir, without Six Sigma and 7QC tools, cannot solve any problem solving?
Yeah, it is a good question again. Why we went for this 7QC tool? When we want to solve a problem, as I was talking to one of the participants, the idea is to have systematically studying the problem. when you start with the clearly stating of a problem statement, find out the possible causes, systematically arrive at the action plans, then work out how you can get the deliverables. According to those action points, you can able to systematically work and get the desired results. It's not that like, we are not doing or it is not good just by ourselves. We cannot be away from 7 QC tools. Maybe ourselves, knowingly, unknowingly, we are using them. But when it is done systematically and methodically, you will be arriving at a desired results. That is the thing what we wanted as a customer or as a human being. Definitely. Is that answer your question, Mani?
Yes, sir. Sir, but what is the best approach to solve the problem solving 7 QC tools and Six Sigma? Because before solving the problem, I'm confused about the Six Sigma tools for you good, correct, and 7 QC tools was correct. How to use this apology?
Yeah, definitely. See, when you start with the improvement of your processes, you start getting the results. Okay, you start knowing where you stand as far as your processes are concerned, whether they are only within the specification limit, as I mentioned earlier, UCL and LCL. Within that, your specification limits are falling. That means your process capability is beyond those specification limits. You are able to satisfy the end customer. That is, the end customer is stakeholder is expecting something from you. You are within that specification. If you are able to deliver that within the Six Sigma levels of achieving the results, then it is called Six Sigma level. And whatever 7 QC tools you are using in that control charts, when you are putting it across, you know you are well within the Six Sigma limits. If your capability is that, then you will be called as a Six Sigma person or a Six Sigma organization.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah?
Yes, sir. I got it. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other question? Yes, 7 QC is same as HACCP principles. HACCP, I'm not sure which you are saying. HACCP related with which area? Is it food or healthcare? Can I know, please? Varsha Chauhan? Is it from HACCP? Is it from healthcare or food industry? Yeah, hazard analysis, critical control points. Okay. So when you are talking about one of the requirements, as somebody was asking, quality control and quality assurance. Similarly, we have this HACCP, that is hazard controls, which are there part of the organization, how best we are controlling the hazards. From the perspective of monitoring of hazards, this analysis is done. This analysis is done to control those critical control parameters. Okay, that's why it is there, hazard analysis, critical control points in a food industry. So if you are having the controls within that limits, whatever is specified by the norms in the food industry, like nutraceuticals, like for food industry, like with the consumer goods, you are able to get that approval from the food industry body. That's why you are going to meet within that norm, and it is one of the significance in the food industry, so that you have to have these parameters or the critical process indicators from HACCP, which are monitored. And definitely when you say control parameters, when you have control charts made, your control parameters related with hazard analysis and critical points, which are there for food industry, they are checked, monitored for its process capability, whether they are within the control limits or not. Similarly, the way we had this recently, Maggie, okay, around some 2 years back, where it was exceeding that limits, okay. So it was taken off the shelves and lot of backlash has happened on the Nestle, and they had to bring it under control again. Okay, so it is part of the norms by the food industry to be following these HACCP and come out with their critical parameters within the range. I am not sure about, somebody is asking Tejaswini, 7 principles of HACCP. I am not aware of these food industry 7 principles. Okay. Somebody is working in the food industry, may be better aware of this. It is a norm set up by the food processing industry. Okay. Food and Civil Supplies, government agency. Any other questions? Any other questions, please? But as you all know, it is very important to know. Yeah, somebody is asking brainstorming. What is brainstorming? Brainstorming is one of the methods to get different opinions collected from a group of people in the meetings, so that you get opinions heard based on their previous experiences. They're all collected and systematically studied for their reasons, so that they're all put, or what you call, okay, for understanding the reasons behind a particular problem. If one person is doing the storming or brainstorming, that means one person is doing himself or herself, maybe they come out with only a few causes or reasons. If many people are working, it can be called brainstorming of a team or a group of people in the same area in the working environment, like a factory or organization for that matter. Okay. Any other question? Any other questions? Yeah, what are the main advantages in marketing field? Someone is asking, Vikram R. Yeah, as you see, for the past few days, you have heard about webinars from various faculty from our side. Marketing has definitely going to play important role, whether you want to demarket or improve the market. How best you are using the marketing tool so that you can market your products or services to the world. It is going to play a very important role. That is the advantages. Definitely, it is an advantage to be having the marketing field. It is a challenge in these COVID conditions, and you can able to deliver the goods if you are going to meet the expectation of the changed expectations of the needs of the people. Okay, 4 principles, 4 P's, what you see from Philip Kotler. When it is there, you have to work towards meeting the objectives of what the customer wants. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the questions and answer sessions as well. Okay, I have my email given, or you can send to the email address given. Okay, can you put it into the last slide, please? Here. So that you can send it across to my email address, bnswamy@msrim.org, so that you can able to send across to me. I'll be able to answer you. Okay, your queries. Any queries are there, I should be able to come back in a short possible time. Thank you. Thanks for the wonderful experience in this webinar. It is going to be a new challenge for everybody. I am getting used to this new kind of experience as well. And all the best for you. Thank you.